A famous filmmaker once said that cinema is a matter of what's in frame and what is not in frame. So, how do you two decide what to show in the shot and what to not show?
It's a good question. Questions we never been asked before. We'll give it a shot.
Welcome back to Creator Corner. Today I have an interview with Roman and Tiernan Nuttbrock from Nuttbrock Studios in Moscow, Idaho. And in today's conversation, we discussed filmmaking, the storytelling aspects, what they believe is the most important thing for a new filmmaker, and their most recent and biggest project, which was traveling to Moldova to create a documentary during the Russia and Ukraine war. They had some very interesting stories to tell. I personally thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I think you're going to. If you're interested in supporting this podcast, you can just go ahead and leave a like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Or if you're listening on Spotify, be sure to leave us a 5-star rating there and share it there. Or you can head on over to patreon.com/creatorcornerpod, where you can find out the different perks and exclusive access content we've got over there. Now, please enjoy this conversation with Roman and Tiernan Nuttbrock of Nuttbrock Studios in Moscow, Idaho. Do you know that 60% of consumers avoid brands with unattractive logos, even if they have good reviews? Well, Resurrection Design Co. helps kingdom minded businesses fix that problem with award winning brand and web design. And right now, they are offering a free, I repeat, free website design or redesign to the first 2 podcast listeners who sign up for a brand identity package. When signing up for a brand identity package, Resurrection will help you design your brand's visual and verbal identity so that you attract your ideal customers, differentiate yourself from your competitors, and strengthen your credibility in the market. Now, this offer is only valid for the first 2 people who sign up this month, so don't wait to visit resurrectiondesign.co/creator-corner to claim it. The link is also in the description. RDC has a 100% client satisfaction and a 5 out of 5 Google rating. So don't wait to snag this deal. Head to resurrectiondesign.co/creator-corner or visit the link in the description. Giving the audience who you are, and then we can kind of dive into that because y'all recently went on a trip and shot a documentary out in Moldova. And so, why don't you start off with a bit of your background and how y'all were raised and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So my name is Roman Nuttbrock. This is my brother Tiernan Nuttbrock. We run a production company, and over the last year, we probably focused mostly on documentary style work. And I didn't really see this coming, at least for myself, because I wanted to be an athlete. I was a basketball player. That's what I wanted to do with my life. And I actually ended up breaking my ankle senior year, and that kind of ruined everything. And I wasn't the same, and the scholarships didn't come, and that was kind of it. But for the last few years, I had been really interested in um, just in filmmaking, and I was just debating on whether or not I should try and go and do this. And then my basketball dream kind of ended, and then I was like, well, there's nothing else to do. So we kind of dove headfirst into it, and we've been doing it for about 3 years now. And we just finished our biggest project, premiered a week ago. So we followed this missionary organization over to a country called Moldova, which is a little country sandwiched right in between Ukraine and Romania. And we followed them on their mission to bring aid to at risk youth and orphans. And they work with a lot of the churches and pastors over in that area. And yeah, dude, it was a wild experience, man. It was, I mean, right next to the war, pretty much. The funny thing is, we were supposed to go into Ukraine, um, but we didn't end up doing so because one of the pastors thought it was too dangerous. Yeah. So we were bummed about that because we wanted to go and capture some stuff in Ukraine, obviously, but
A little bit too dangerous.
yeah, it was a little testy while we were over there. So unfortunately, we didn't get to go in.
We had to make sure we, couldn't bring the drone or any of our, cameras near the border. There was actually one story that, um, a guy brought parts of a drone to the border, and he got arrested. He was in big trouble. So we were pretty careful with not bringing the drone to the border at all, so
Yeah, I mean, we were safe, right? We didn't do anything. We weren't around anybody that did anything that was too unsafe. But yeah, I mean, there were a few moments where it was like, wow, this is this could get interesting. You know, we're like 10 miles away from a war going on right now, and stuff could happen. Like you can just, start hearing the air raid alarm go off, like it was just a wild experience, and we were able to capture a lot of that in the film. So
Yeah. So how exactly did this opportunity come across? And, you know, because you're based in Moscow, Idaho, and then you get this opportunity to fly across the world and
yeah.
you take in all your gear. How does that exactly go about? And how did you both kind of tag team this and be like, oh, I'll do this one thing, I'll do the other thing?
Right. So Tiernan's kind of my perfect partner in crime because everything that I have weaknesses in, he has his strengths, and everything that he has weaknesses in, I have those strengths. So we're kind of like two peas in a pod when it comes to everything that we do. I'm kind of more of a director producer type mind. He's more of a technical cinematographer type mind, a super artistic mind. And so it just works really, really well, the both of us doing projects like this. But it was funny how this opportunity came across our plate. The founders of the ministry are actually in the process of moving down to Moscow, and we met one of them through a mutual friend, and then realized that they were actually attending our church, and so we got talking with them, and I was talking with the vice president, and I was like, he was telling us like, yeah, we really need somebody to come on the trip and we need things documented in film to show the world what we're doing and what's happening on that part of the world. And it just clicked immediately. And we were like, yep, we need to do this. And
we had a 2 weeks notice.
pretty much, and then 2 weeks later, we were on a plane flying from Seattle to London and then London to Chisinau, Moldova. And it was crazy how quick it all happened. Like we met him, and then like 2 weeks later, a month later or something like that, we were flying over there.
Wow. Yeah.
So it
So
only took 2 weeks to find the funding to be able to go. So that was crazy, and we found the funding, so
Yeah,
that was nuts.
yeah,
yeah.
that's crazy. So what was the goal and mission of this documentary? And how did Tiernan, how did you decide these are the kind of things I want to capture for this documentary?
Yeah, I mean, our goal was to capture the missionaries over there, doing their job essentially, just um, giving gifts to the children in need. Um, you'll see in a film, Wendell says these kids have nothing, right? And you'll see that in the film that these kids really do have nothing. I mean, they're off the streets. A lot of them don't have parents. They're orphans. They're coming over um, from Ukraine and stuff over the border because it's just too dangerous over there. I mean, it is crazy, and they are really performing the Great Commission, over there. SOAR stands for Service and Outreach from Alaska to Russia. Currently, they can't get into Russia because it is too dangerous in Russia right now. Um, but But yeah, so they're doing more stuff more in Moldova and stuff because it's just too dangerous in Russia. If Russia does open up, we will probably go film another project for them, in Russia, but right now that's just shut down right now, it's just too dangerous. Um, but yeah, it was it was really awesome to hear, um, Wendell and Heather and their story, and, yeah.
So for your question about, like, determining what stuff to film and what stuff not to film, it's kind of an interesting question because, um, you kind of just know. Um, that's what I would say. Um, Being storytellers, things just kind of arise and you realize, "Yep, okay, that needs to be captured," and we run over and capture it. And that just keeps happening over and over and over again over the course of the trip. And, so we were never at a crossroads of like, "Oh, how should we film this or not film this or capture this or not capture this?" It was it was pretty self-explanatory, and I don't think that necessarily comes to most people, but it comes to us because we're storytellers and we kind of it sounds kind of prideful to just say you get it, but I don't know how else to describe that.
Like, it's like an artist knowing what to paint, like, he just knows what to paint because he has the eye for it.
Yeah.
It's kinda like that.
So I would say it came pretty intuitively, and there's just so much culture over there, and there's so much brokenness, and there's so much joy uh, through some of the people that we met. It just kind of all flowed perfectly like a river
We're
downstream.
never hurting for footage.
Oh no, no, no. Everything that you pointed your camera at was worthy of being captured, pretty much. So.
Yeah. Was there maybe ever any concern or hesitation or worry from either y'all or friends or family as, you know, it's like, "Oh, in 2 weeks, you're gonna be flying to Moldova in the middle of Ukraine and Russia right now."
I mean, I don't think there was a bunch of worry because, I mean, we are safe. They wouldn't take us anywhere that we wouldn't be safe. Although we did cross the border into kind of a region called Transnistria, and it's they wanna be their own country, they're not their own country. It's like a is it Russian occupied? Yeah, it's Russian occupied, and, getting across the border was actually pretty sketch. You'll see in the film, Wendell was, like, just praising God that we got through safely and that there were no problems, but the sketchiest part was probably Transnistria.
Yeah, but I mean, we had people praying for us for sure. I mean, yeah, the chances of something going wrong were actually pretty slim, but that doesn't mean much because you're still right next to, a war zone technically. I mean, and like people are literally, their villages are being blown up, like 100 miles in that direction. You're like right there. So yeah, I mean, there were I never really felt super scared or terrified, when we were over there, because we were around the right people, we were around safe people. Um, but yeah, when we crossed the scariest part was probably when we crossed the border into Transnistria, which is technically a part of Moldova, but they don't want to be a part of Moldova, and they're occupied by Russians. And pulling up to the border, there are like these big old Russian guys with like AK-47s standing there, and we're just Americans. We can't speak a lick of Russian, and we just hand them our passports, and we tell them we're sightseeing, instead of visiting the pastors and the villages that we were trying to go to. So it was like, like, yeah, like we're full on lying to these Russian people right now who have, uh, you know, AK-47s, like you just don't know what could happen if something went wrong. And thankfully it didn't. And you'll see, like Tiernan was saying in the film, Wendell was just praising God once we got through because that was the most testy part of the trip, and it went smoothly. So it
Yeah.
was huge.
Yeah, so I guess what are your thoughts on that? Because, there's the concept of righteous deception, and some Christians are thoroughly against it. They're like, never lie. And then some people are like, you have to lie in order to protect yourself. So, what are your guys' opinion on that?
Those Christians need to change their perspective.
I am, this is gonna sound bad, but I'm a pro liar.
For the right reasons.
Right, for the right reasons. You think of people like Corey ten Boom, who lied to the Nazis about hiding Jews in her house and under her table. I don't know that there's a Christian in their right mind that would say that wasn't a righteous act of deception. Um, I will constantly lie to my family about surprises that are coming,
Yeah.
right? Birthday surprises, whatever. That's righteous in my opinion. So yeah, I'm definitely for that, for sure, for the right reasons. And yeah, we had to do it on the trip a couple of times. Like I said, the biggest one was crossing that border. Um, telling them we didn't did we put it? Oh yeah, actually it's in the film. Wendell says to the camera, we're telling them we're just going to sightsee
It's gonna be sightseeing today.
instead of going to these pastors' churches and villages to give
The gift.
these gifts
Yeah.
and the aid to all these at-risk kids. So it was quite the part of the trip. So
Yeah. So did maybe the government know like what this ministry was and what they were doing, or was it just, hey, we know what these people are doing and we're not for that?
I don't think they knew. I mean, we were a pretty small group of people. Um, we weren't bringing in tens and tens of people with all these huge cameras and
Unsuspicious.
yeah, we didn't look that suspicious overall. I don't think anybody, especially the government, they didn't know about us going in. We were too small, but I mean, yeah, that's something to consider, right? Because especially being Americans, going into a country like that, um, these foreign people, they don't know what these Americans could be up to. They had no clue. So yeah, we had to constantly be on watch, right? But like I said, it was never anything that was, like, super dangerous.
Yeah. So what kind of projects did y'all do before this? And did you ever envision getting to travel across the world to film a documentary?
Yeah, no, we didn't see this project coming for sure. Um, we've done all sorts of project. We've partnered with agencies to do, like, big series for Amazon Prime. We've been involved in, music videos to a degree. I mean, we've kinda done everything, but our sweet spot is kind of that documentary style work is kind of our favorite. Um, my dream one day well, our dream is to have our own big studio, and do everything from films and TV shows to documentaries and educational content, to all sorts of things. I've kind of joked about it in terms of like kind of becoming our own Angel Studios to a degree, slash Daily Wire thing. Obviously, those are ridiculously big dreams and probably far from right now. But I can dream, can I? So yeah, that's what I'd say, but like I said, our sweet spot and the spot that we find the most joy at currently
Very nice.
is doing that documentary style work. And yeah, we're praying for more opportunities to come our way to travel all over the world. We're totally down and we just love adventures and we love stories, so
So as you're both, filmmakers and storytellers, um, something that's floated around is, do you think that it's, ethical and morally okay to maybe twist in a way, but make scenes more emotional or more like the emotions stand out more to prove a point? Or do you think that maybe twisting that you shouldn't do that?
absolutely not. I mean, we did it in the film. Like, yeah, it's dramatized to a degree, but you also have to understand that there's a lot going on underneath the surface than most people realize. And that's the part that is traumatized in the film. And you also have to understand that at the end of the day, it is art
It's entertainment.
and it is entertainment,
Yeah.
right? If it's not entertaining, a lot of people aren't gonna watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know it's for a ministry, technically, but it does have to be a piece of entertainment to a degree, and God gets that, he knows that. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, if you're I think manipulation is the wrong word. I think it's just art.
It's more, yeah, it's just your job as an artist, honestly.
Your job as an artist is to move people
Yeah.
and to, change their hearts, and if you're doing so with, um, a righteous, uh,
Cause
action behind that, then I believe it's fine. But obviously, lots of people do it for the wrong reasons, and they have their agendas that they're pushing, and their propaganda, and yeah, I don't think that's right. But yeah,
Yeah. So, as there's different films and different documentaries that are either 45 minutes, an hour long, an hour and a half, or even some that are like 3 hours long. How do you decide when to end a film?
yeah, that's a good question. We made an hour and a half long cut of this film, and then we trimmed it down to an hour. I guess that's an interesting question because I kind of think it depends on a project by project basis. You can't just one size doesn't fit all.
it depends on a few factors, like your audience, that's a big part of it, and who you're showing it to. Right, you can't show a 3-hour documentary to some people, so that does depend. Um,
Yeah, I mean it's again, you have to just do whatever is best to serve the story.
yeah.
That's all that it boils down to. Whether it is 3 hours long or it's 30 minutes long. And again, it's your job as the storyteller to figure that out. And we had an hour and a half long cut, and we realized it was kind of just dragging on too much, and there wasn't enough new material to kind of put in. People were saying the same things a little bit over and over again, so we kind of just trimmed the fat out and got it down to an hour. And I think it's way better because of that. It has a lot more impact.
So, how long exactly did this project take, and what did that look like? Was it like put a hold on everything else we were doing and just focus on this one big project?
Well, flew out, December 31st.
So it was pretty much the first 2 weeks of 2025. We were over there filming,
Yeah.
and then what was that, like a week ago? April, yeah, ten days ago, April 11th, it premiered. So we're talking about 3.5 months, a 3.5 month project. Um, and I was working on it pretty much the whole time throughout that. But then, we switch on and off. We delegate certain tasks that he's better at and that I'm better at, and we just pump through it as quick as we can. Um, the the longer process was just the revisions that needed to be done. Um, I cut an hour and a half long version in a month. So I did that in a month, and then it was just refining it and getting those revisions, and then planning for the premiere and doing some marketing stuff to get people to come. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what exactly does y'all's next projects look like after this, where you've done, Prime Video series, music videos, and then traveled across the world to film a documentary?
I mean, our goal is to essentially do what we just did with this documentary, but do it over and over and over again because that's what we're talented at. So if we can just do a bunch more of these projects, that would be super awesome and really fun. Um,
we've got another decently big documentary we're working on that's more local
yeah.
up here. Um, we don't have time to fully go into that one. But then we've got our hands in a couple different things. We're always working on multiple things at one time. and
Mhm.
constantly building relationships with people that hopefully will spur on projects in the future.
Yep.
But we're thinking about going to definitely some events this year and getting in front of some people and meeting some more people. And hopefully the Lord will bring opportunities out of that to keep doing what we're doing. Because again, like Tiernan said, that's what I would love. I would just love to travel the entire world and do this full time for sure. At least for this part of my life, that would be the dream, really. Um, before we have, Lord willing, a really big studio someday, um, where we have our hand in all sorts of projects. And then also a dream would be to get into doing, to a degree, nature documentaries someday, like traveling to some of the most remote parts of the world and capturing God's creation and God's animals and all that stuff. That's always been a kind of itch that I have had that I would love to scratch someday. But yeah, those dreams are a little far out. So,
Mm.
yep.
So, all right.
Nice, huh?
So as you were kind of in the middle of Ukraine and Russia, maybe what were some things that you saw that you're like, I want that to be seen more? And do you think that, this war was called for and that it was, an ethical war and called for, or was it just cats and dogs fighting?
Do we think it's an unethical or immoral war?
Yeah, do you think this war was called for? Or from what
Well,
you've seen?
we talked to the people over there, and they said they knew the war was coming 10 years ago.
Yeah.
They just didn't know when it was going to happen, which was an interesting piece of information that not a lot of Americans know about. But they knew 100% that the war was coming. They just didn't know when. But yes, the war is wrong. Like Putin is Hitler.
We uh we talked to so we traveled with a Russian translator. Her name was Anastasia. We called her Nastia. She talked to us a little bit about Russia and what's going on over there because she actually left Russia because it was too dangerous and she didn't want to raise her family there. Um, but yeah, she was talking about Putin, and my goodness, he will literally kill anyone who tries to run against him. So he's set for life in term. So he's not gonna.
That's wild.
He's just insane. Like if there's a business that's like being really successful and he doesn't like him, he'll just kill the owner and take his money.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
It's
wild.
totally
He's
insane.
any political opponent.
Yeah.
Well, people don't want to run against him because they'll know that they'll just he'll
So,
kill him.
yeah.
He'll just off him. And he has these rich oligarchs that he appoints um, all over the country. And to a degree, they take people's businesses and they buy real estate for him. He's the richest man in the world by far, and it's not even Elon Musk doesn't even come close to.
Dude, Elon Musk said something like, I can't just start wars.
Yeah, I don't have an army.
Yeah, I don't have an army.
But Putin owns, like, the whole entire country.
It's insane.
It's just totally
He's
nuts.
like a modern day Hitler.
Yeah, he's just, it's horrible what's going on over there. It's totally nuts.
Yeah, so I gave my audience a chance to ask questions. And so one of them asked, um, obviously y'all are documentary filmmakers and not like politicians or anything, but um, they asked from being over there, do you think that because Ukraine's not the saint of a country, but do you
Yeah.
think that Russia is completely at fault for this, or is it kind of 50-50?
I think both countries are pretty greasy. It's hard. I mean, all the Americans are like pro Ukraine and everything, but after hearing both sides, it's both countries are pretty greasy. It's hard to trust anyone. Um,
It's just complex.
yeah,
It's just the war doesn't make any sense, because if Russia wanted to, they could squash Ukraine in 2 seconds.
yeah,
So it really just doesn't make any sense what's going on. And again, we don't have that many details. I haven't studied the war in depth. even though we were over there, we still only know a limited amount
Yeah.
of information. Um,
Well, wasn't Nasty saying that the Russian government doesn't even like there's no news? Like,
yeah, you think the media is bad in America? Over there in Russia and stuff, it's crazy. I mean, it's just totally everything is just Putin running it with, his finger on everything. But like Tieran said, I think yeah, both sides are doing things that they shouldn't for sure. Um, do I think America should be giving Ukraine billions of dollars? Absolutely not. Like Ukraine has been like selling the war ammo and the things that they have bought with America's money. And so it's just a total mess, the whole thing. Um, I mean, if I was gonna pick a side, I'd probably be more on the Ukraine side. But again, that's not really something I'm gonna do. And yeah, it's just it's just hard to trust people with that much power
yeah.
in their hands. There's just always something greasy going on, and I really don't trust anybody.
Yeah. No, so as you've making this documentary and your goal is to show what this ministry is doing and sending gifts over there, but then at the same time there's this war going on. Do you think maybe the war, in a sense, clouded the mission of the ministry because it's like, hey, we're trying to show what they're doing, but at the same time, there's this massive war going on that is kind of taking taking the front stage a bit.
Sure, I wouldn't say that at all. One of the reasons why we partnered with this ministry to do this is because they are unlike anybody we've ever met. They are just so amazing. The team members and the leaders and the founders just have hearts of gold, and they're just not in it for themselves whatsoever. And I don't think they're gonna let anything cloud their vision or their purpose, even a war. Now, yeah, it was some consideration,
Yeah. But
right?
it didn't stop us.
You have to take that into consideration. I mean, that's a pretty big thing, but no, it didn't stop them at all, and I don't think it will.
No.
Mhm. So, what would be some of your advice for maybe a new young filmmaker that, doesn't really have these partners to, hey, you direct, I'll do the cinematography, you produce. Um, what's your big advice for them as they're starting out?
That's a really good question, and it's actually kind of awesome that we're reminded of that because um, w- we are in a specific position because there are two of us, and we can do so much more than just one person can. And our projects turn out a lot better because there are two of us working on it as opposed to just one person. So that's an interesting question, and I would say you have to meet people, and if you can find a business partner, but not until you need one. You can do a lot on your own. You really can, and
Gotta learn as much as possible.
you have to learn as much as you humanly possibly can on your own. Work on as many projects as you can on your own, and then when the time is right, find somebody who is like minded that might want to go into business with you, and
While building relationships at the same time.
while continuing to build relationships with other people. And but yeah, I wouldn't have this project wouldn't have turned out half as good if I didn't have Tyrion with me. Yeah, that's just kind of the fact.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, filmmaking is a collaborative industry. It's one of the most collaborative industries in the entire world. So you have to have people behind your back supporting you, giving advice.
right.
So
And when we're editing this thing and putting it together, I put together a piece, then Tyrion watches it and he says, "Oh, that's I saw something that you didn't see because you were making it," and he gives me advice and feedback, and we can kind of go back and forth. And the result is a project that ends up just way better than if one person did it
Yeah.
for sure. So
And I mean, you mentioned find yourself a business partner, but not until you need one. So where should people exactly realize, okay, now's the time to find a business partner? Did they, measure that on the amount of business coming in or financial success or whatever that may be?
Yeah, I would say potentially both of those things.
Yeah.
But I'd also just say, like, you need to have your schedule so unbelievably packed before you start looking for somebody else. The trick with being a creative and an artist is you can kind of be a little lazy a little bit. You can work on projects a little too long and draw things out a little too far. Um, and I would just say I wouldn't even start looking for a business partner until one, you're bringing in a decent amount of money, and two, your schedule is just so packed. You're actually starting to stress a little bit because you have so much coming in and you just can't handle it all. And you're like, I am at my breaking point right now. I I need somebody to help.
That's a hard place to get to, though.
It is on, and also honestly, that place is harder to get to than you think. That's why I said, don't find a business partner until you need to.
Mhm. So what did that look like then with um you two both going, "Hey, we're going to start up a production company and maybe it's only enough work for one person."
Right. Well, that's the constant battle is to find enough work for two people and to find enough work. Well, Tiernan and me are different because we can just do so much at one time. We can do the work of four people
When we're brothers,
so
it's just easier to.
and we're brothers, so it's easier. We know each other. We know how we work and tick, and we're so fast, and we can get so much done. So we're not going to be hiring or you know growing our employees or anything till there's five people's amount of work coming in.
Yeah.
Because there's just no need. We can do it all.
Yeah.
We we're just hustlers, and our life is pretty much just work right now. That's our life is just work. So we can handle so much. But yes, that's the goal is to find that much work to where you're constantly on projects. You're constantly talking and making relationships with other people and developing projects for the future. And yeah, so that's what I would say.
Yeah. And I noticed at the um kind of at the beginning a while ago, y'all were doing a lot of projects in partner with Darren Doan. So what did that exactly look like? Was it kind of, hey, we're gonna partner with you to create these different series and everything, and then kind of in a way launch us off to prepare us enough and then send us on our way?
Yeah, our partnership with him was awesome. We came across his path. He was looking. He had too much work coming in, and so we were like, okay, why don't our two companies just partner, and we'll pretty much work exclusively with you for a year, and yeah, we got the chance to work on some multi-million-dollar projects, some projects with global artists, and we learned so much. We got access to a place where most people don't get access to, especially in their younger years, starting off and building something. Yeah, we learned so much and putting together because I edited a lot of the Prime Video documentary series and stuff. That really helped me um, edit this project we just did in Moldova. It was huge, huge learning curve and seriously prepared me for and Taryn because Taryn's editing our next documentary. Um, Seriously prepared us for these documentary projects that ended up coming our path, like a year later. So it was a great time.
So what do you think are maybe some of the things that filmmakers should focus on the most? Is it audio, making the picture look the best, or where should people exactly, if they're gonna focus on one individual thing, what should that be?
Yeah.
Well, it's the story. Yeah. It's the abstract thing, it's the story. Um, yeah, you need a baseline knowledge of audio, video, and cinematography to a degree, and technical skills. But the more important thing is the story. And the reason projects fail and don't work is because the story is not there. That's pretty much the only reason. Um, you can have a very limited technical ability with the camera and not work with the most expensive gear and go out and shoot a project. But if you're a better storyteller, that project will turn out better than somebody who took a Netflix level rig and camera department out and told the same story, but not as good. So it's always, I don't even, honestly, I don't even call myself a filmmaker as much as I do a storyteller. And that's the thing that a lot of creative people, people in the film world, they're like, what? They're like, what do you mean you're not a, but that's just the fact, like I think of myself as a storyteller before a filmmaker, and before even artist even. And I think that's something that people who want to get into this industry and start doing career wise should seriously consider.
It's the hardest part of the filmmaking process is creating your narrative.
Yep.
So any
Have good cinematography and good sound and people then they know what they're doing behind the camera, then that's just the added sauce, and then it's gonna be even better.
Right. That's just the cherry on top. And those projects are the ones that stand the test of time. Right. Those are the ones that get in front of tens of millions of people and change hearts and move people and stuff like that.
Yeah. So any final closing thoughts or remarks from either of you or stories you'd be interested in sharing?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would just say if you want to follow along the journey with us, we're on a journey to build a massive storytelling machine someday, um, working in places all over the world and doing a lot of amazing work that that is Christ centered and is not Christ centered, but both that glorify God. And we're hungry to meet the right people and to tell the right stories, man. And if possible, keep traveling all over the world because that is always an amazing adventure, no matter where you go. It's always so thrilling and
Just trying to stay busy.
so freeing and yeah. So that's our goal, man. That's what I would say as a closing statement.
Yeah. So where can people find out more about y'all's work and you?
Yep. We're on social media. You can just type in Roman Nutbrock or Tiernan Nuttbrock. Spell your name for him.
Tiernan.
Yeah, we're on social media, and then you can check out our website, nutbrockstudios.com. Nutbrock is spelled Nuttbrock. So yeah, our website's the best, nutbrockstudios.com. You can go on there and check out more about us and see some of the projects that we've worked on and contact us as well if you so choose.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming on the podcast today. I did very much enjoy this conversation.
Yes. Yep. I did too. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Elijah.
thank you.